she wanted to come and say hi. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And now she's trying to bite my books. That's not what we're doing. Hello, and welcome to a new vlog. I'm very excited about this one because I have quite the ambitious TBR for this weekend, shall we say. Quite the ambitious TBR for this weekend. I have 2 books, which I've been meaning to read for what seems like years. One of them actually, it kind of has been years, but one of them I've just been putting on every single TBR and then proceeding to, okay, she can go to the floor for the time being. But these are both books that have been on many TBRs. They are a little bit chunky, I must say. And I am hoping to read them this weekend. It's currently Friday. I'll probably stop filming this vlog around Monday or so. Whether or not I'm gonna be able to finish both of these in that time span, I don't know. Maybe I'll expand it one more day. Maybe I'll do like a 5-day weekend kind of situation. I do not have a 5-day weekend, but I might expand it anyway. But let me just show you the 2 books that I am hopefully going to be reading in this vlog. The first book that I have here I'm very excited about because I finally reread the first book in this series. I've been meaning to do that for a while so I can continue on the series. So I'm going to be reading Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Farseer trilogy and I am currently a little ways into it. I am 68 pages into it so far, and this is like a 650 page book or something, so like, does that really mean much of anything? No. But I've been really liking this one so far. I don't 100% love Assassin's Apprentice. I think it's a good introductory book. I think it gives you the information that you need to know, but I've heard that the series just gets much better after Assassin's Apprentice. And I've really been enjoying following Fitz in this one. The end of Assassin's Apprentice definitely left him at a little bit of a crossroads. He kind of had some options for what he could do, and I've been enjoying following what he's been doing so far in this book. That sounds so vague, but like, I'll talk more specific thoughts later. And I'm excited to read some more of this. I think I'll be switching kind of back and forth between listening to this on audio and reading it physically. I do have the audiobook checked out from the library, so this is reading plan number 1. And then my second reading plan is probably the one that I'm a little bit more excited about because I am jumping into a new series, which I've put on many TBRs. I got this book sometime last year, and I swear I've put it on like every single monthly TBR since I got this book in my possession. And that is, of course, The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is the first book in the Wheel of Time, the first book of a 14-book series. Am I gonna commit to reading all of the Wheel of Time in a timely manner? Absolutely not. No. But I've just been really wanting to dive into this. I want that classic fantasy feeling, and I feel like both of these are kind of gonna give me that, but even more so the Wheel of Time. I don't even exactly know what the plot of this first book is supposed to be. I know like general terms and words surrounding the Wheel of Time, like the Aes Sedai, and there's the Dragon Reborn, and there's someone named Moraine, but like aside from those things, I don't know anything about the actual plot of the series, so I'm interested to see how this first book goes, what the introduction to the series is gonna be. I'm just intrigued. So hopefully gonna be finishing, I think I want to prioritize probably finishing this book this weekend, mainly because, you know, I'm excited to read this one. I also do have the audiobook, which is narrated by, I believe, Michael Kramer and Kate Redding, which, love them. Iconic audiobook narrators, if you know, you know. So I'll probably be doing like a little bit of immersive reading and whatnot, but I'm also very motivated to read this one because me and one of my patrons, Amelia, have this like competition to see who's gonna finish the book first. I can already tell you, it's not gonna be me, but I thought it would be fun to have a little bit of a friendly competition regardless. So I think I'm gonna be focusing on this one mainly and like interspersing Royal Assassin. So I will be finishing the Wheel of Time this weekend. Hopefully we'll be finishing Royal Assassin as well, but we'll see on that one. Regardless, I still have 2 incredibly chunky fantasy books that I would like to read this weekend. It is currently a very gloomy Friday morning. I do have some sprints with my patrons in a little bit, so that'll be really good to, you know, get some reading started. I think I'm gonna be starting with The Eye of the World, so those are kind of like my today plans. But aside from that, we'll kind of just see what I end up doing this weekend. I'm very excited for a cozy weekend of jumping into some very chunky books. So let's just get into it. As I said, I'm gonna be starting with The Eye of the World. I can't believe I'm actually gonna start it. Like, I've said I'm gonna start it so many times. So the fact that I'm actually gonna do it this time, who would have thought? Not you. I know you didn't think it, so let's just get on into the vlog. I really hope you guys enjoy. right, so it is now Sunday morning. It's been a weekend at this point. Friday, Saturday, interesting times to say the least, but I am back with an update. It is not quite as substantial of an update for either of these as I was wanting to give you at this point in time, but I'm still going to try to lock the hell in and finish both of these books before Wednesday. Give me 4 days. I feel like maybe I could do that. We're gonna see, but let me give you my couple of updates that I have for both of the books that I said I wanted to read. So, first of all, maybe let's talk about The Eye of the World, because I have started it, guys. I finally started it. It's been like almost a year of me saying, oh, I'm gonna read this book this month. It hasn't happened up until this point, but look at this. Look at that. So I'm currently on page 128. I'm in the middle of chapter 11 right now, and I am really enjoying this so far. I just always feel like the beginning of, especially, like very substantial epic fantasy series is always the best part. Like, well, not the best part, but like it's always a super fun part, getting acquainted with the world and all of these new characters and all of the new magical, fantastical things going on is always just the best time. So I've really been enjoying the first 130 pages, and I'm super excited to see what the rest of this book holds. But to give you like kind of a general idea of what's going on, because up until this point I had no clue what any of the plot of the Wheel of Time involved. But we're following Rand, who lives in this small village, very unassuming, at the base of these mountains of mist, and like not a lot goes on there, you know what I mean? Until one day he sees this cloaked figure maybe following him and obviously giving him the heebie-jeebies. So he goes into town, he's like talking to his friends, he's like, oh my gosh, have you seen this? And they're like, yeah, I have, it's so weird, but nobody else has seen this cloaked figure. But there's about to be this festival in their village, just good times coming up, everything's gonna be great, so they kind of, like, what are you gonna do about it at that point? Until one night, Rand and his father go back to their farm, which is like an hour or so outside of the village, and then bam, it gets attacked, kind of sets everything in motion. He goes back to the village, he's like, what am I supposed to do? Turns out there is this woman there whose name is Moraine, and she is a part of this group of women called the Aes Sedai, and she's like, well, like, that's really not good. You and all of your friends who are like kind of a similar age to you, like within a couple of months age-wise, are gonna have to come with me because like these terrible creatures are after you. So Rand and some of his friends have to set out from the village. They have never left this place before. They've never seen anything beyond the small confines of where they've lived their whole life. And they are going to this new place. I don't exactly know what the new place is. I think maybe it's where some more Aes Sedai live so they can be in a more like protected area. And that's kind of the point that we're at now. We are embarking on this quest across the continent, and I'm very excited about it. I've really enjoyed the setup of this book. I do find it very interesting, and I knew this going into it, that especially the first book in the Wheel of Time is very inspired by The Lord of the Rings. Obviously, a lot of fantasy is very inspired by The Lord of the Rings, but I think this one specifically is very famously inspired by The Lord of the Rings. So there are a lot of very overt things happening in this book that feel like The Lord of the Rings, which I think is kind of fun, honestly. We're following these three unassuming guys who have to leave their village and make this long trek because they are being stalked for some reason by this black swathed rider or whatever. So it's been kind of fun to clock those so far. I'm also really enjoying the magic that is present in this world. I've only gotten a little bit of a taste of it so far, but just from what has been kind of told to you, I'm very intrigued by, because at this point I don't really know how things shake out in the rest of the series, but only women can do magic in this world, and even within this small village they have this like kind of head magic-y woman whose name is Nynaeve, and she almost trumps the village council and how much influence and sway she has in this area. And that's obviously really intriguing because she's a very young woman who kind of just has to be respected by all of these old dudes. She's always walking around whacking people with her stick if they're not behaving. But then aside from just like normal women doing magic, there's also this group of women called the Aes Sedai who we don't really know too much about them yet. There are a lot of stories that Rand has heard of that involve the Aes Sedai, but he's never met one before. And there's a lot of prejudice attitudes against the Aes Sedai and like all the terrible things that they're doing. But from what we've seen so far with Moraine, like she seems pretty normal. But everybody in the village has some opinions about her and they're not all good. She definitely does not garner a lot of respect. So I'm kind of interested to see like where those attitudes maybe stemmed from, maybe if other places also feel the same way. I also just love how classic fantasy this feels, even just in the naming of things. Because the village that Rand is in is at the foot of the Mountains of Mist. Which, I mean, how can you get more fantasy sounding than the Mountains of Mist? I don't think you can. There's also this area called the Blight. There's the Mountains of Doom, spelled D-H-O-O-M. There's this place called Dragon Mount. I don't know anything about any of these places, but oh, there's this area called the Spine of the World. So like, I just feel like I have been so transported into this world, this very classic fantasy feeling world, and I'm really, really loving it so far. I'm also really liking Robert Jordan's writing so far, and going into this I didn't expect it to be like dense or anything, but I wasn't exactly sure how I was gonna feel about the writing, but I'm really liking it so far. It is very descriptive. It takes a lot of time to focus on kind of the layout and feeling of the area that our characters are in. I also loved the beginning of the first chapter. I know this is like a very famous opening chapter to a fantasy book where it's talking about the Wheel of Time and the cyclic nature of everything and all the legends and myths and tales, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. I don't know, I just thought it was really cool. I really like the opening to this book. I'm really liking the writing. I'm liking the descriptions. Characters so far, I need to give them a little bit more time. I'm only 130 pages into it, so I don't know if I'm like loving any of the characters. I'm very intrigued by Moraine, obviously. Rand is a bit boring at this point in time, but like I'll give him some more time. I feel like he needs more time to cook with me right now. Just overall, I've really been enjoying the opening of this book, and I'm quite excited to do some more reading today. I'm definitely hoping maybe that I can make it up to the halfway point in this book today, which is like 170 pages from where I am now, which feels maybe like something I could do. And then we also need to talk about Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. I have read just a little bit more of this. I'm currently on page 100 of this book so far, and I can tell you I'm enjoying this much, much more than I was enjoying Assassin's Apprentice, and I am very excited about the prospect of reading more and more of The Realm of the Elderlings because this has been so good so far. I've been really, really, well, like, you know, kind of enjoying it. Most of the time I'm just feeling really bad for Fitz. He has just been given such a complicated lot in life, but I think that makes him such a good character to follow and focus on, and getting his very intimate and personal thoughts about everything I'm finding to be really enjoyable, if a bit sad and frustrated on his behalf. So far, especially in the beginning of this book, we've been taking a look at, you know, this awkward place that he's in court. He is not a part of court because they're not going to claim a bastard, but he's also not a part of court. And so many people have all of these expectations of him where they're like, you're Fitz Chivalry Farseer and you need to like follow all the normal conventions that a normal prince would follow. But they're also like, you're still a bastard, so you have to like do everything we say, but you don't get any like money, you don't get any respect, you don't get any prestige. And like, poor Fitz, he's literally only 15, dealing with all of this nonsense from so many different people around him, and I just feel so bad for him throughout this book. He's also very unlucky in love at this point in his life, because there's this girl that he met in the first book, and you know, he hasn't exactly gone about courting her in the correct way, and she's really mad about all this stuff, but like, Fitz didn't do it intentionally. It's just because like he's a dumb 15-year-old, and I feel so bad for him because like everybody's pissed at him. I'm like, give my man a break. He does not deserve this. He's trying his best. I just feel so bad for Fitz. He's literally like on the verge of death most of the time, and people are still giving him crap. I'm like, poor Fitz, honestly. And I know it only gets worse for Fitz as the books go on. So I'm a little bit scared to read some more of Royal Assassin, honestly, because I just want the best for Fitz. But I just feel like the best is not going to come to Fitz, honestly, so I guess we'll see. Also, one character who I think I'm even more intrigued by than Fitz, honestly, is the Fool. And I know there's like a series later, or a book. I don't know if it's the series name, but like there's a book at least, like much later in the series, called Fitz and the Fool. I'm like, same fool, different fool? I don't know what that's about, but the Fool, you've just been given like little bits of information. Nobody really knows a whole lot about the Fool, but I have so many questions. Like every time he's in a scene, I'm like, none of my questions have gotten answered. I don't think they're gonna get answered anytime soon, but really intrigued to get a little bit more maybe about the Fool in this book. Obviously very intrigued by Fitz's whole thing as well, so really enjoying Royal Assassin, really enjoying The Eye of the World. So I'm going to probably listen to a little bit more of this on audio today. I'm going to read some more of this physically today. So those are the couple of reading updates that I had for you. Gonna try and make it up to the halfway point in this. I don't have any specific goals with this one. I'm just gonna probably, you know, maybe I'll listen to some more of this on audio. I do really like the audiobooks for the series. The guy that they have narrating them just sounds like somebody who should be narrating a fantasy audiobook. Yeah, anyway, these are my reading plans for today. We'll see how much progress I end up making on them. Hopefully I'll come back tomorrow or later today with some good updates. We'll see, but yeah, good fantasy reading is going on, so I'm very happy about that. So it is much later. It is about 10 o'clock now, but I have been spending the whole day reading and it has been so nice. I have made so much progress in, well, one of the books, a little bit of progress in the other one. But I have been having, you know, like a stressful couple of days, I would say. So having just a day where I can sit and do all of the reading that I could possibly want has been so beautiful, honestly. So let me give you guys some reading updates. Let me tell you what I have been experiencing today. So first of all, we'll talk about The Eye of the World. I've been making so much progress in this book, which I'm very happy about. I have not exactly made it to the halfway point, but I am very close to being at the halfway point. I am on page 304, chapter 25, and I've been continuing to really enjoy this. I'm just having a very fun time with this book so far, and I'm very excited to read the rest of it over the next couple of days. I definitely feel like I will be able to finish this up maybe in like 2 days. I feel like 2 days seems manageable. But as for the last 200 pages, we have just been continuing to follow this kind of ever-growing and evolving group who is embarking on this quest, and we have been seeing them as they're going into different towns, kind of encountering different obstacles, I would say. I do really like the kind of constant threat that they're under while they're going on this quest, because they are being tracked down by these terrifying beings called Trollocs. I did look up a photo of them. I looked up like fan art, and I think I also saw a photo of what they look like in the show, which, side note, definitely will be watching the show. Maybe after I finish this. I don't exactly know like what parts of the series the show covers. Obviously like the first parts. I don't know if it does like all of the series or not. I know it got canceled as well, but I need to figure out like what parts of the books the show follows and like what I can watch, because I'm really interested to watch an adaptation of this now. How did I get here? The Trollocs, right? I saw a photo of them, of like what they look in the show and just like general fan art, and like terrifying, honestly. I hate it. Winnie, what are you doing? I don't know if you heard her, she's just, it's crazy, it's monkey hour, I don't know. But I feel like that adds a really good level of excitement to the quest, a little bit of danger to the quest, which I'm enjoying. There also have been some more exciting kind of action battle scenes happening, which I'm liking a lot. I think it's really interesting to see how our characters who, you know, grew up in this small village, never really encountered anything like this before, are reacting in these times of danger that they're facing. And I've also just been enjoying getting acquainted with the characters more in general. Some of them I'm starting to really like. Some of them get on my nerves. Mainly one of them gets on my nerves. I'll talk about him in a second. Actually, no, I want to talk about him now because like there were so many scenes that I read today where Matt was just acting a fool and I was like, oh, I would be accidentally pushing him off the cliff because he's done so many things that have put their mission in peril. And like, come on, like maybe one or two, but like he just keeps going. I'm like, oh my god, knock it off. And then Rand and Perrin don't do like anything to rein him in. They kind of just like go along with him because like, oh, we can't leave him alone. I'm like, honestly, maybe you should. Matt is not my favorite. Currently have beef with Matt. I'm hoping he gets some good character development over the series because like in the first book, I'm like, oh my god, I would actually fist fight him if I saw him. Because, you know, like, again, not to like keep comparing this to Lord of the Rings, but I feel like there is a clear comparison between him and like Merry and Pip in the Lord of the Rings. But like Merry and Pippin do like stupid things every now and then in Lord of the Rings, but like they're such endearing characters that you're not that mad at them. And like, they don't continue to do stupid things. But with Matt, it's just like one after the, I can't, I'm sorry. Like, it's not even that big of a deal. Anyway, I do have characters that I'm really liking as well. Specifically, all of the women that are in this series so far. I really like Moraine. Also Nynaeve, even though she is a piece of work. I'm very excited for specifically Nynaeve and Egwene's stories going forwards. I think there could be a lot of interesting stuff with them conjuring some different powers, shall we say, but I'm really liking that so far. As for our main character though, honestly, like Rand, he's not really doing a whole lot for me at this point in time. I feel like he's kind of just there. Obviously more exciting things are going to be happening with him, I assume, but at this point in time, like he is our focal character, so like obviously, you know, like I have some thoughts, I have some predictions that must be true, but I just don't find him to be a very interesting character at this point. I do think there is some interesting stuff kind of coming into play with, you know, like his parents and all of that, like some hints have been dropped, which I'm very intrigued by, but him like as a character in and of himself, I'm like, do I care about you that much right now? I don't know. Again, obviously like I'm only 300 pages into the first book of a 14-book series, so obviously there's lots and lots of room for characters to develop and change and for me to like them more and whatever, but those are just like my thoughts at this point in time. So some characters I'm liking, some I'm a little bit so-so about, but overall I'm still liking what every character is contributing to this book. Even though some of them annoy me, they definitely, you know, move the plot along. So that's all well and good. At the point in the story that I'm at now, our characters have been separated from each other, so I do think it's kind of interesting to see the smaller scale dynamics of these groups, because obviously when you have like everybody who's going on the quest together, it's a little bit different than when we have like, oh, like these two people who you wouldn't really have thought would team up well together, but like just seeing kind of those different relationships and different dynamics forming, I find to be very interesting. Also, as the story goes on, we're getting more and more information about the Dark One, who's kind of like the big bad guy in this series, basically. And you're figuring out things that have happened in the past, things that could happen in the future if our characters don't end up succeeding on getting away from him. And it's all just very intriguing. I'm liking it a lot so far. I'm having a good time. So I'm going to try to reach the halfway point in this tonight. I have like 25 pages until I'm there. So I feel like I can probably get to that point. I have read a little bit more of Royal Assassin as well. I'm currently on page 163. And finally, something good is happening for Fitz. I feel like for the most part, it's been 15 years of just not great times for Fitz. But the last chapter, I'm just so happy for him. I don't really have anything else to say about it, honestly, aside from the fact that Fitz deserves this. I don't really know what could potentially come of this. Probably nothing good in the grand scheme of things. But just in general, I'm happy for him. So that's my quick update on Royal Assassin, because I haven't really read like too much more of it. So I think I've read like almost 300 pages today. Also, what are you doing? They love both her, actually all of them, love any sweater that has like wool, mohair. I don't know what it is about it, but like it gets them acting feral. They'll start biting my sweaters, like the ones that I've knit and the ones that I've bought. They just like go crazy over them. It's probably just the smell or the feeling or the texture or whatever, but I don't appreciate it. I'm glad she sat down so I don't have to like go track her down again. But anyway, yeah, those are my reading updates for the day. And honestly, I'm tired. So I'm gonna read my 25 pages and then I'm gonna go to sleep. But tomorrow, I have some fun plans, which I formulated about 30 minutes ago when I went on Pinterest for like 5 seconds and I saw this thing. And I was like, I need one actually, so I'm gonna make one tomorrow. So to stop being super vague, I saw this scissors holster looking thing. It's like embroidered, it's made out of felt, and I was like, I could do that. I made some Christmas decorations back at, you know, like Christmas time, obviously. And it's basically the same thing, but like a little bit different construction. So I want to make one. I don't know if I'm going to make one that looks exactly like this. I've seen a couple of other like inspiration photos on Pinterest because I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, I need more. Oh, these are really cute. I love them all. Look at this. I'd love to make one that can hang on my project bag because I feel like I'm always scrambling for scissors. And I'd like to stop doing that. So I want to make one tomorrow. I have all the stuff for it. I have all the felt already. I'm very excited to try this out tomorrow. I don't think it'll be too hard. Sorry, I got distracted looking at more of them. They're all so cute. I am very excited about this. Are you excited, Winnie? Oh, she is thrilled. So yeah, those are my plans. Those are my reading updates. Hopefully I'll have some good reading updates for you tomorrow as well. We will see. I'm hoping I can read half of what I have left of The Eye of the World tomorrow, and then Tuesday I could read the rest of it. Or maybe I'll go crazy and read a bunch of it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. I'm also probably going to listen to my audiobook for Royal Assassin tomorrow morning. I'm just really, really enjoying both of the books that I'm reading, so yeah, this is beautiful, honestly. Stunning reading, stunning crafting tomorrow. I can't wait. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so it is now Tuesday morning and I'm back with a couple of reading updates as well as a crafting update. which I'm so excited to have another crafting update to share with you guys, because I did make my scissor sheaths. That's right, scissor sheaths multiple. So this was the first iteration. It's not bad, but I don't love it. I feel like it could be better. Shape's a bit odd looking, and I also wish like it was more secure. So this was the first attempt. Not bad, but not exactly what I wanted it to be, but I decided to make another one last night, and I am so happy with it, and I did put it on my little crafting bag. Look at it! It's so cute. I'm so happy with it. I decided to, instead of like doing beading on it, I decided to actually embroider it, like the photo that I found online. I put another piece of felt on it and a snap, like a really, really tiny snap, so it's working too well right now. So it could like hold the scissors in place, which is also very nice, and I can just hang it on my project bag and not fear that it's going to fall out like my first iteration. So this was really fun. I'm very happy that I just randomly saw that photo on Pinterest and that I was able to make it. I love it when I see something online, I'm like, I want that, and then I can just make it. What a concept. I was working on that last night while I was listening to my audiobook for Royal Assassin, and in the book there was like a queen and all of her ladies around her, whatever, and they were working on their handicrafts. So I was like, oh my god, I think I'm working on my handicrafts right now. While I was embroidering all of this stuff, I do really enjoy doing embroidery. Obviously, you know, like the stuff that I was doing on here is, don't look at the back, it's really ugly actually. Like pretty basic, but it was really fun. So I'd like to maybe do more embroidery. Oh, I guess I did add some beads to it, like in the center of the flowers, and I think it's a nice pop of color. So yeah, there's my scissor sheath. Big fan of it. Honestly would recommend. But anyway, let me give you guys some reading updates. I don't really actually know if I have like too much to say about Royal Assassin at this point in time. I've read maybe like 100 or so, 150 more pages, I think. And the thing is, this book is just very slow moving. I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it a lot, but it's a very slow, kind of introspective, very political based fantasy. Fitz is encountering, you know, some new relationships in his life. He is also learning how to hone his craft with the skill and the wit, which are two of the like magic systems that are in this series. There's definitely a lot of setup for what I'm assuming are going to be bigger political moves to come, but like at the halfway point in this book, I don't really know if I have much else to tell you about, aside from the fact that I'm liking it. So there's my short update on Royal Assassin, because I have a much more substantial update on the Eye of the World. And also I'm enjoying the Eye of the World more, so, I mean, I'm still liking Royal Assassin, but I'm liking this one a little bit more. So let me go let Daisy out, because she wants out, and then we'll talk about this. Every time I try to film, you want in, you want out, you want to turn on my lights. So, the Eye of the World. I am currently on page 519, so I am very, well, like what seems like pretty close to the end of the book. I think I have maybe 140 pages left, which I'm going to be reading today. I would very much like to finish it up today. I'm also just very intrigued to see how this book leaves off, because it's the first book in a very long series, but I'm assuming, you know, like something of interest is gonna happen at the end of it. And I'm very intrigued to see what that's gonna be. Over the last 200 or so pages since I last talked to you, we've been doing a lot more traveling. And honestly, like, I feel like this book is kind of right up my alley, because I love books where we're following characters that are just traveling, going from one town to the next, going to different taverns, running into different issues, meeting different people, good or bad. And I've really been enjoying the growing, I guess, dread of our characters as they are getting closer and closer to the place that they set out to go in the first place. The longer that they're on the road and the further away that they get from home, there's kind of, you know, like enemies cropping up everywhere, but they're also growing more and more paranoid about everything, which I find to be a very enjoyable read, honestly. I feel like it's very high stakes. I like all of the different people that they're encountering and the constant question of like, what if they're a dark friend? Or like, what if they're actually good? And like, we're never gonna know. And not only are they encountering people who could be in cahoots with the Dark Lord, but they're also just people that like want to rob them because they're travelers. And like, why not? At the point that I'm at right now, our characters are at the place where they said they were gonna meet up again. So I'm curious to see if that actually happens, what other roadblocks are gonna be in the way. The last chapter that I read was kind of a big chapter, I think, because Rand has been, you know, trying to keep a low profile this whole time. But the thing that just happened is like maybe one of the most high profile things that could have possibly happened to him. And there are a couple of different characters introduced in that chapter. We also met another Aes Sedai in that chapter who seems very different from Moraine, which definitely leads me to have a lot of questions about the different like they're not different kinds of Aes Sedai, but like different, I don't know, like factions almost of Aes Sedai, and maybe differences in how they think and how they use their powers. Moraine seems very just and very wise, and she seems like she's doing the right thing. Like, I feel like I want to trust Moraine, you know? But the other Aes Sedai was a little bit not like that. Not exactly like how Aes Sedai are described in the stories as like evil and wicked and witches, but a little bit less like Moraine, basically. So I just have questions, and the place that we're going is where like all the Aes Sedai, I think, reside. You know, all the ones that aren't like out and about in the world doing whatever. So I'm really intrigued to see if we actually end up making it to Tar Valon or not, because that's the place where our characters are going. I can definitely tell you already that I'm gonna want to read the second one when I finish this, and I'll probably want to continue on this series from there. I'd really like to not buy the books, like the next books in the series, until I've read the previous one. So I'm gonna try and find a copy of The Great Hunt, but I will not buy any more of them. Unless I see them at like half price or something. But I won't seek out the later books in the series, because like what if I read one and I'm like, ugh, I'm done. And like I don't want to be stuck with a bunch of like 600-page fantasy books that I'm not super interested in at the moment in time. So I'm gonna get The Great Hunt for sure. Then I'll read that and then get the next one, presumably. We'll see. But as I said, I'm really liking it. I'm loving the writing style. I'm loving the adventure that our characters are going on. I'm also just liking the characters more in general. Now that we've kind of split up into these smaller groups and the characters get a little bit more of a spotlight because we're not focusing on like 8 people at a time, I'm definitely starting to like them a little bit more, despite, you know, some stubbornness and some stupidness and all of that. I'm still very intrigued by all of them. I feel like they're being set up to be really interesting characters as the series progresses, and there are like some other, you know, like periphery characters at this point in time who could get drawn in a little bit more to the series that I'm also very intrigued by. So Eye of the World's going well. I'm gonna be finishing it up today. I do have class today. I need to leave in a little bit, but in between my classes and when I get back later tonight, I'm definitely going to be finishing this up, and I'm very excited. As for if I'm gonna be finishing up Royal Assassin before the end of this vlog, that's a different question. I have no clue, honestly. I still have like half of the book left. Although I am getting my other color of yarn for my Norma sweater in the mail today. So I might do a little bit of like knitting and audiobook listening. So we'll see if I end up doing that. I'm not sure, but definitely will be finishing this today. And I will give you my thoughts on this. I will see you guys then. Alright, so I'm back with a couple of final updates for the vlog. I did not end up finishing both of the books that I wanted to within this time span. My last week has been very much not what I was expecting from the last week. A lot of just personal things that I certainly do not want to get into. But I was still able to do some good reading. I was still able to finish one of the books that I wanted to, and it's probably the one that I wanted to finish more out of the two of them. So obviously we need to talk about The Eye of the World because I finally finished it and I had such a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed all of this book. I'm very interested to get into the subsequent books in the series and kind of see what they hold. I really enjoyed the point in the story that we left off with this one because it feels like a very satisfying, complete arc for our characters, but you can tell there's so much more that the series holds, and that makes me very excited. There was definitely a little bit of action at the end of the book, some reveals happening at the end of the book, a couple of things which I feel like I kind of knew already. They're kind of like things that you could probably just know from reading the book. But I also really enjoyed the lead up to the final scenes of this book. Our characters were definitely entering an even more treacherous place. In the entirety of the book, they've been traveling from town to town, and they've been encountering, you know, like obstacles within the towns. But towards the end of this book, they just entered this area that was full of all of these just horrific creatures. And I really enjoyed hearing about all of the crazy creatures that were coming out. It definitely kind of like amped up those fantasy elements even more, and I was enjoying that a lot. There was also this kind of calm before the storm that I really loved. There's this area that they enter. The whole time I was like, this is stunning. I loved the way Robert Jordan described it. I loved the feeling that our characters had while they were there. And I just really enjoyed like everything about this book, honestly. I was a bit iffy about the characters. Initially, there are definitely like a couple of characters that I still think could be a little bit more interesting. Rand. Honestly, he might be like the most boring. That sounds terrible. He might be one of the most boring characters out of the main ones that we've been following. Obviously, there's so much hope for him. There are like 13 other books. Sure. But would I say he's the one that I'm the most intrigued by? Absolutely not. But I'm very interested to see the paths that all of our different characters go down. There are a couple of, you know, like things being set up for them in this first book, obviously. Some people becoming Aes Sedai, some people having odd connections with animals. Very much reminded me of a Royal Assassin. There are like a couple of things in here that I was like, am I like very reminiscent of Royal Assassin, which I thought was an odd coincidence. And I just thought it was such a great start to the series. It was very fun. It was very intriguing. The ending feels satisfying, but you still want more from it. So I'm very excited to read The Great Hunt at some point in time. I have heard some things about like the middle books in the Wheel of Time maybe not being like the most engaging thing. But, you know, realistically, am I gonna get to those anytime soon? No. Because I'm at book 1 out of 14. But The Eye of the World is just really fun, and I really enjoyed it. So that's kind of honestly like the only other reading update. I have made some more progress in Royal Assassin. I am currently on page 385. So I'm a little bit over halfway, maybe like 60% I would say. And I'm still continuing to really enjoy this, but I still feel like I don't have a lot to report on as far as this goes because this is such a slow moving book. Like I'm 385 pages in, and things have happened. A lot of political maneuverings, which are very interesting. Fitz is definitely kind of making some friends and allies with some higher people up in court, and seeing their connections with him and what that can ultimately mean for Fitz, I find very interesting. But, you know, like not a lot has happened. Fitz is definitely having some, you know, turmoil in his personal romantic relationships, which I personally do not see ending well for him. But there are also some other, you know, connections that he's making in this book that are also very intriguing. I don't know how those are going to end up either. I have so many questions and like so many things that I just don't think are gonna go well for Fitz. I feel like every time I hear people talk about, honestly, any of Robin Hobb's books, they're like, oh my god, it's great, but like so sad. And I'm like, okay, so I feel maybe emotionally prepared. Really liking Royal Assassin. Really continuing to like it. Honestly, I feel like these were really good high fantasy picks to read at the same time, because even though they're both high fantasy, even though there are a lot of things going on in both of them, they're very different vibes. This is very much like action, questy, adventure, whatever, and this is like slow, introspective, focusing on one singular character and his, you know, issues in life. So I just feel like they balanced each other out really well, and I enjoyed kind of, you know, having a weekend. Well, it's been more than a weekend at this point. It's not Friday. It's Friday morning. I've been filming this vlog for a week. Initially I was gonna film this over a weekend, but like last weekend I don't want to talk about last weekend. It's just been a week in general. So didn't do as much reading as I wanted to, but I still managed to finish the one book that I really wanted to. So I'm pretty happy about that. So those are my final reading updates. I also wanted to give you guys a little bit of a knitting sneak peek. So if you don't care about my knitting updates, I guess this is the end of the video for you, but I wanted to show you because I got my new yarn in a couple of days ago. And obviously I got straight to work on my sweater, duh. I have been listening to the audiobook of Royal Assassin, which again, I'm really enjoying listening to the audiobooks for this series. Initially I was gonna read some more physically, but like, it's kind of like my crafting series right now. Like anytime I'm doing a craft, I'm like listening to the Farseer audiobooks. And I kind of like that. Actually, I kind of love that. But let me show you how this is looking. So I got my new yarn and I am so much happier with it. Third time's the charm. Am I right or am I right? I'm crying on the inside, but it's fine. I actually do already have plans for the other brown that I was using initially. I think it'll be a good contrast color in a colorwork piece that I do not plan to do anytime soon, but at some point I think it'll be a really good option. And I'll talk about that at some other point in time. So like it will be going to use of some sort. It will be going to use. But I got my new yarn. It is in the color nut brown in the merino and the mohair, and I'm very happy with how this looks. It's much warmer. It's a little bit more of like a medium shade, so I think it's a good in-between between the darker brown and like this oatmeal color. So let me show you how my sweater is looking. I like, realistically, is there that much of a difference? I don't know, but like I'm so much happier with how this is looking, and I think I'm just gonna be a much bigger fan of the final piece. Also, like the mohair for nut brown is so fuzzy. Like all of the mohair is fuzzy, but something about this mohair just feels extra fuzzy. But yes, this is how my Norma sweater is looking. I've redone the first stripe. I have almost finished the bit in between the stripes, and I am just about to start my next colorwork stripe. Oh, it looks so nice in the sunlight. God, I'm so happy about this. Like I knew it would be worth it to change out the brown, but I knew it was gonna be a pain in the ass. But now that I'm kind of back to where I was with it, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with it. So that is, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a knitting update. I think I'll be working more on this in my next video, but I'll give you updates on that and whatnot. But I wanted to show you how that's going because I did work on that a lot while I was listening to Royal Assassin. Also worked on it a lot while I was watching the first half of season 4 of Bridgerton, which obviously I really enjoyed. Honestly, Bridgerton is the kind of show that like while I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. I love it so much. And then afterwards, when I start to think about it critically, I'm like, God, it was so bad, but like in the best way. I was having a great time. I really like the storyline for this season. I didn't love season 3, but I'm really liking the storyline for season 4. So cannot wait for the second part. I need it right now, honestly. That is everything that I think I wanted to update you guys about before the end of the video. Did some good reading this week. I only finished one book though, but it was a pretty substantial book, I'd say, so I'm very happy about that. I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me throughout this week to read some high fantasy reads. I'd love to know if you guys have read either of these. Both of these I think were published quite a while ago. I think maybe, was it 1990 and like mid-90s? So a lot of time for maybe you guys to have read some of these, so I'd love to know your thoughts on either of these books. I feel like most of the time when I mention these books in like my TBRs, because I have been mentioned quite a few times, you guys are always excited about it, so I'd love to hear what you guys thought of these books. Let me know. Or if you have not read these books, just let me know what you guys have been up to this week. I'd love to know what you've been reading, what you've been doing, anything like that. But with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you are having an amazing Monday or whatever day it is that you are watching this video. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.